Okay, now we're starting the recording the archive a little after 10:45. So you can see here, basically, we did just get back into the market here on this scalper buy signal. We got a scalper buy here on the S&Ps that got us long in the Dow. So we're sitting here long, and we've just got a target here right at R3, just under R3 for the whole position. Seeing if the markets can get up to that level. Looking at the radar screen, everything's still pretty bullish. You've got the trends near the lows, trend Q near the lows, put calls bullish. Ticks have been trending lower, but now they're starting to firm again. On the sectors, basically every sector is green, so there's really nothing falling apart in the markets. Take a look at the 2-minute squeezes. We do have 2 red dots here on the S&Ps. So remember, on the squeezes, we want to pay attention when we get the next blue dot. We got a blue histogram or a red histogram. Okay. So if we have if we've got a green histogram, we'll go long. Red will go short. You can see also we've got the same thing happening on the Russell and on the Nasdaq and on the Dow. Nothing really setting up on the 5-minute as of yet. Taking a quick look at the Euro. No box play setting up on the Euro right now. Just kind of doing its own thing. For bonds for later today, bonds are not moving very much right here. They've been consolidating. Just kind of keeping an eye on them and how they're going to be doing. So when we start setting up our Doldrums bonds plays. $5.30.5. $5.30.5. $5.20.5. Markets are quiet here, just not any real sellers coming in. $5.20.5. Yeah, it is. It's been morning's been going by pretty quick. 5.20.5. 5.10.30. 5.30. 5.10.30. 5.20.5. 5.20.5. 5.30.5. Ashley J 5.70. Yeah, that sounds good. 5.70. 5.70. Markets are starting to quiet down. Remember, we don't like really doing a lot of new trades between about 11:45 and 2 o'clock, and we're getting close to 11. We should get a test of R3 here, though, before we get into the doldrums. 5.80. 5.80. 5.60.80. 5.80. 5.80. 5.80. See here on the 144 tick chart. Take a look down here. We got 2 red dots forming. So we want to see, we got the beginnings of a squeeze happening here. So we want to see where that fires off. 5.60.80. Yeah. 5.70. 5.70. 5.80. 5.80. 5.60.80. 5.86 even. 16-20. Should get the target in the next 16-20.
620 bid and a half. 670 is high. 620 bid and a half. See what I have. 620 bid and a half. 670 at 30.
Okay, ticks are jumping up here. 800 ticks. We heard the audio alert.
670 at 30.
Audio alert plus 800 ticks.
670 at 30. 670 at 30.
Yeah.
620 bid and a half. 670 at 30. 620 bid and a half.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, Will, is that the,
670 at 30.
you know, you look at the, on a swing trade basis, I'm bearish, but on an intraday basis, you know, it's easier. You just don't fight the internals. Did you hear that? The guy in the pit was like, "That guy's an effing idiot." Yeah, it's pretty funny.
620 bid and a half.
That's pretty good.
He's a bigger fan for the field. 620 bid at 40.
Let's flip over to the radar screen real quick. You can see the ticks have just been kind of grinding higher. We got up to plus 800, pulled back a little bit. Trends near their lows.
670 at 30.
Every sector is green, which is actually pretty rare.
670 at 30.
See if we can get a push up to R3. Remember, we've got a target up here just below R3 at 93.31.
620 bid and a half. 620 bid and a half. 20 and a half cycle. 620 bid and a half. 670 at 30. 16 at 30.
Okay, ticks are firming up again, and I'm not even looking at them. I know that they're firming up because of the sound, the sounds that are happening. Which is why the audio alerts are so important, because you can know what's going on in the market and not even have to look at everything. Gives you a lot more flexibility. You're using a lot more of your senses instead of just sight. You know, bring your hearing into as well, and it just helps make you a better trader.
620 bid and a half. 620 bid and a
That's an
half.
auspicious number. So if you're talking from back there, can you make it around there?
670 at 30. 16 at 30.
You can just like, you can bring that speaker out. No, it's pretty quiet.
It's pretty quiet. Yes, so guys, that's one of the reasons John uses audio alerts. The same reason I use pit noise. I mean, it just gets all your senses in. As you can tell, you know, which is better, with sound or without. I mean, it makes a big difference. Even though it is the S&P pit, you can use it to trade the Dow minis. I mean, because listen, if you're looking at your charts right now, you get a better sense of the market, what it's doing now with total silence, or
16 at 20. 16 to 20. 586.20, 586 even.
Markets just continue to be, we're just basically in a consolidation period right now. We've had a nice run up. Markets are just kind of backing and filling here. I'm still looking for a test of R3 here, though, before lunch. Before lunch. Dreamer, right. If we can get some extreme ticks, that's a good enough reason to get out of the trade. We're actually not in the squeeze yet, Larry. It's forming, but it has not fired off yet. It did fire off on the one?
570 minute 90.
Okay.
5F80, 5F80.
So you can see here, we've got the red dots here on the 144 tick, but they haven't fired off yet, so we don't have a squeeze on yet. So remember on the squeeze, the red dots here, that's just a heads up. What you're waiting for is the next blue dot. Of course, that's red, but if this turns into a blue dot and the histogram is red, that's a short, and then if it's green, it's a long. So that's what we're waiting for there. Right now, there's not a signal on this chart.
The 1 minute, the 89 tick, and the 2 minute have fired. They haven't really done anything. So that makes me a little cautious for this trade that John's in. I mean, so here's what I'm thinking. It needs to go up, and he needs to get his 10 points and get out of it. Just because the squeezes are firing off, but they're not really going up in the direction they're firing. They're just going dead sideways. But it is just a consolidation pattern. Ticks are starting to come down. 330. And there's no pit noise. There's no continuation of pit noise on the upside. But at least they're not selling. If first thing you would notice is the pit guys would start scaling in, selling, and they haven't done it yet.
If you guys were trying to type questions in, I think it was just disabled there for a second, but it should be up and ready again. See you, Will.
576 even. Minute 80. 570, 586.
Pit's getting loud. Pit's getting loud. Pit's getting loud. This is where pit noise really comes in handy because everything's going to be quiet and suddenly they get excited. Gives you a heads up that there's some pressure coming into the market.
620 minute and a half.
Scott, yes. If we're in a trade long and you get a short squeeze, you get out. But you can see right now the momentum is changing. We're actually getting green histograms here.
16 to 30.
So if it turns blue now, it's actually going to be a long squeeze.
16 to 30.
We'll see. The markets are real quiet here, though.
$16 to 20. 16 to 20. 586.20. 6 amp at 6 amp 70. 6 amp 70. 6 amp 80. 6 amp 80. 6 amp 70. 6 amp 70. On the high, 6 amp 70, 6 amp 70. The guy's up 107 on 6 amp 70. And it has to trade 6 amp 70. 677 even. 670 bid a 90. 677 even. 687.20. 70 in bid Scott Walk. 70 to 20.
Right, we're out at the target plus 10.
720 and a half.
That's on both contracts.
Now this is pretty important on the pit. On the pit noise, did you guys hear the pit guy? He was going on our highs, on our highs. As soon as he did that, me and John, as soon as he said on our highs, you have a really good chance of making new highs. And then we exited the trade, but I don't even think the pit guy knows he's doing it, but anytime he goes, we're at our lows or we're at our highs, you have a really, like 70-80% chance of pushing through and going higher. So just be aware of what the pit's doing.
Can you turn it down just a little bit?
7:30 and a half.
Pit down. All right, let's just do a quick recap here of that last trade, and then just look at what we're going to be doing now. There's a couple of key things to remember here. All right, first off, why did we get into this trade? It pulled back, okay, to the midpoint on the S&Ps, and we got a scalper buy. Now, I'm not trading the S&Ps today. I'm trading the Dow, but that's okay. We got the scalper buy there, so I went long the Dow, all right? Put on the stop. Now, normally what I do is I'll look at the first half plus 10, which puts us at 99.31. All right. In this case, because we were at R3, I just went ahead and put a target on both at 99.31. Because remember what we talked about yesterday, the markets have a hard time pushing above R3. So instead of sitting here hoping that the market's going to go to 99.80, and you never know, it might happen today. It's really bullish. It's just it's just basically looking at the market objectively and looking at an objective profit target. So that's why I took that target. Secondly, remember, we were watching the squeeze develop down here, remember? Red dots. We're trying to see which way it's going to fire off. Well, look what happened. When we got the blue dot, the momentum turned. We got the green buy histogram. That happened right here, and then we just took off. So I could have just waited for a squeeze to fire off and taken it, but our strategy with the scalper buy basically already had us in the trade. So it was kind of and what's nice is now, somebody asked a good question. If I was in this trade long and this would have fired off short, would I have gotten out? Yes. And I would have gotten out and reversed and gone short. But the key with the squeeze is you want to wait until it fires off. So even though it looked like it was going to go short here, when it actually got the blue dot, it fired off along. And now you can see the markets just kind of exploded higher there in a short burst. All right. So any questions on that trade? It's funny, Larry. So here's a recap of the trades on the half positions. We had plus 10, plus 20, plus 10, minus 2, plus 10, plus 10. That's for me, and then Hubert on his got, what'd you get, it was like 30 points on your trade? Justin, that's a great question. Okay, that's to clarify. No, I would have just taken the short squeeze to get out of my trade, and that's a great clarification because the radar screen is so bullish. Chris, bigger picture for me, I'm bearish on a swing trade basis. But remember, the thing to remember about bear market rallies is they're the most violent kind of rallies you're ever going to see, because the reason it is because everybody's positioned short, and it's going to fire off all those stop losses. But there's nothing about this that's bullish longer term. This is just your basic dead cat light volume bounce.
Yeah, guys, I've only done the one trade this morning. It was plus 5, plus 11, and plus 29. We look like we're a little extended here. On the Dow right now, we are up 107 points.
Well, and we're also right at R3, and we're actually pushing through it right now.
Yep, so we are getting a little extended. So to take longs up here is not the best ideal in the world. Okay? Plus, we're kind of getting close to the doldrums. Doldrums time, we're at 11:07. We only have like 30 minutes, and then we'll be into the full-blown doldrums. We don't like to trade a lot from 11:30 to about 2 to 2:30. So pretty much we're pretty much done for the day unless there was just something phenomenal that catches our eye, and then we take another trade. So if you guys have any questions, it's best to start fielding those now.
Nice one, Jeff. So remember too, now we're at R3. I mean, there's really not much room for the markets to move now. And we should, even though we're pushing higher, we're going to be trading around here a little bit. I'm not too excited about the long side right now, just because now all my targets are gone. And in my experience, the markets have a hard time having a sustained move above R3. Now, what is interesting, though, and what I will start watching for now is I'll start looking at the radar screen later today to see if there's some deterioration, because there's certainly an opportunity for a pullback here to like R2 on the YM. And that's a 40-point move, so that's definitely worth taking. But there's nothing in the internals that's telling me to go short right now, so I'm just hanging tight. No, Larry. If I got you mean right here, the red bar. I would exit if I got the pivot bar in place. Okay, so let's watch here for the pivot bar in place. The red bar by itself won't do it for me, because you can get red bars while you're in a scalper buy. The main thing is you want to get those 3 consecutive lower closes. That tells you that there's a potential shift change, and in fact we may get that here in a second. Yeah, we'll be looking at the bonds here shortly. Remember, the bonds we don't really start looking at until noon, but we will start looking at those at noon.
70 to 20.
I guess I'm going to turn up our noise again.
70 to 10. 70 to 20. 70 to 20. Next 70 to 20. 77 to 30. 77 to 30.
Hey guys, one thing I want to share with you too, if you hear these sounds, now all the sounds that you've been hearing from TradeStation today, those have all been because you can see here on the ticks, we've spent all the time here at plus 600, plus 800, plus 1,000, plus 1,200, and on the ticky we've been at plus 26. And those are all the sounds that you've heard. So what I'm going to do real quick is I want to play the sounds for you that I have programmed in TradeStation for lower moves. So later today, if you hear these, you'll know that the market is shifting momentum. All right. So if we get a minus 1,000 tick reading, we're going to hear this. Oh, now we got the markets rallying. So here's the minus 600 ticks.
Houston, we have a problem.
Okay, so if you hear that, you'll know we're at minus 600 ticks. Here's minus 800 ticks. And then my personal favorite, minus 1,000 ticks. Okay. Of course, the markets are new highs right now. Okay, here's minus 1,000 ticks. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. So if you guys hear those noises later today, you'll know that that's because the market is turning around. Right now, we're at plus 800 ticks, so that's why we hear this one. And what's great with this is that you can sit here, you don't have to stare at the charts, and you'll know what the market is doing. Because obviously if it's plus 800 ticks, the market's going to be rallying and not falling. Now also, just reviewing this radar screen real quick, look at this. There's nothing bearish happening. We're near our lows of the day on the trend, at our dead lows of the day on the trend Q. The put call is holding steady, and the ticks here are starting to trend higher once again. The only flag now on the markets, for me personally, is that we're going through R3 here on the S&Ps. We're through R3 on the Dow. In my experience, the markets, I've only seen it like twice in the last couple of years where the markets had a significant move above and through these levels. Now, today might be one of those days because, it's super bullish out there, but I'm not really willing to bet that much on it. All right, so now what I'm going to start looking for is the markets are going to start getting quiet. They're going to start consolidating, and I'm actually looking for a pretty choppy doldrum session. There may be some opportunities on the short side later today, but for right now, there's no reason to. We've had some good trading this morning, no reason to push it, and in fact, at this point, I just kind of want to sit back and let the markets do their thing for a little bit.
Hey, Roger, your question, is single contract traders at a severe disadvantage relative to multi-contract traders? They're not a severe advantage, but they are at a disadvantage because trading multiple contracts, you don't have to be right or wrong on your exit. You have to be right on your entry, but on your exit, you can kind of manage, peel off half, peel off a quarter, and manage the last quarter. Where on single lot traders, they have to be right and wrong, or right or wrong, on the entry and the exit. Now, single lot traders think that trading multiple lots is sexy just because they think they can make more money. But what they don't understand is if you're trading 10, 15, 16, 20 contracts, when you take a 10-point loss, that's 20 times 10. So it's not like taking a loss on a one single lot contract. So it really is best to start at one contract and build up your track record, and then go to 2 contracts, and then go to 3 contracts, and then go to 4 contracts. Because if you jump straight into multiples and you're trading them and you just think there's an advantage to multiples, there is, but there's a disadvantage too, because when I'm taking a 10-point loss, I'm not really just taking 10 points. I'm taking a harder hit than a one lot trader will take. Yeah, that's a good idea, Homer. Good eye, good eye.
Even better, even 20. 80 20. 80 30, 80 30. 80 27, 88 20. 80 20. 80 30, 80 30. 80 30. 820 minute and a half. 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 810 minute 30. 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 820 minute and a half. 810 minute 30. 810 minute 30. 8 minute 30. 810 minute 30. 8 minute 20. 80 minute 20. Hey, Kevin! 80 minute 20, 80 minute 20. Kevin! 788 20, 788 even. 770 minute 90. 770 minute 90. 8.5 is the high. 770 minute 90. 7.5 80, 7.5 80. 7.5 80. 7.5 70. 7.5 70. 7.5 70. 7.5 70. 7.5 70. 7:30 and a half. 7:20 and a half. 7:20 and a half. 7:30 and a half. 7:20 and a half. 7:20 and a half. 7:30 and a half. 7 to 30, 70 to 30. 7 to 30, 7 to 30. 7:20 and a half. 7:30 minutes 70. Yes, you Teddy. 7:30 minutes 70. 7:30 and a half. 7:30 minutes 70. 7 and 70. 7 and 70. 7:30 and a half. 7:30 minutes 70. 7 and 70. 7 and 70. 7:20 and a half. At 20, 70 to 20. 70 to 20. 7 to 30. 7 to 30. 7 to 30. At 20, 70 to 20. 687 20. 687 20. 70 to 20, 70 to 20. 7:20 and a half. 7:20 and a half. 7:20 and a half. 7:20 and a half. 7:30 and a half. 70 and 30. 7:20 and a half. 7:10 and 30. 70 and 30. That's 70 and 687 even. 677 even. 6 half 80, 6 half 80, 660 minute 80. 670 minute 90. 677 even. 6 half 80, 6 half 80. 660 minute 80. 6 half 80, 6 half 80. 6 half 80. 6 half 80. 630 minute and a half. 620 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 minute and a half. 630 minute and a half. 6 half at 6 half 70. 630 minute and a half. 630 minute and a half. 630 minute 70. Hamster train. 630 minute 70. 'Time's up 106 now. Nathan Gooch up 18. 6 half 80. 6 half 80. 6 half 80. 6 half 80. 6 half 70. That's make it 70. 6 half 70. 6 half 70. 630 minute 70. 630 minute and a half. 630 minute 70. 6 half 70. 630 minute and a half. 630 minute 70.
Yeah, we're both flat. We're just kind of sitting here watching, just kind of seeing how the market's here just kind of set up. It's just pretty quiet right now.
670.
You can see we're selling off. Zolder's are getting close, but the sell-offs are pretty light. We're probably going to actually consolidate for the next couple of
610.70.
hours. Actually, I want to look here real
I hope they
quick
go
at the euro
16 and 0 because I'm a Lions
and the
fan.
bonds. Yeah, let's take a look at the radar screen.
610.70.
So on the radar screen, you got the trend. It's still pretty low, but you can see here it's trying to bounce
670.
higher. Trend Q near its dead lows. So everything's still pretty bullish. We did get new lows of the day on the ticks. So that's just kind of a heads up.
610.70.
On the sectors, okay, so the 1 minute chart is in a short squeeze. Let's look at the 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes, not really doing much here. 5 minutes, not doing too much. So we basically just kind of have a normal pullback from the highs. Looking at the bonds, bonds are trending lower all day long today. Now, usually when the bonds are in this much of a downtrend, during the doldrums, I'll kind of just focus on short setups when it's that clear that it's a downtrend.
610.70.
Euro new lows on the euro, but no real box plays setting up on the euro on the 5 minute chart.
610.70.
So we'll just kind of keep an eye on that too.
660.80.
No, it's okay. So are there any questions here on the markets, how they're setting up? I mean, the internals are still bullish. Generally what's going to happen is after a period of time like this, the markets need to consolidate. If we would get like a 2 minute short squeeze, I'd look at taking it for a scalp. But I'm not going to be shorting any moves to pivots. I'm not going to take any scalp or sell signals because right now the markets are very bullish. But what I'm looking at here is that we've already rallied at R3. What's probably going to happen for the rest of the day is we trade in a tight range near the highs and then push higher into the close. That's what the radar screen's telling me. Now, if the radar screen starts falling apart later today, then we'll look at taking some shorts. But for now, we've had some really good trading this morning. I'm not really in a hurry to do anything here. I'm not going to take any shorts until I actually see some evidence that the market is going to try to break down. So otherwise, now we're just kind of kicking back and waiting. And a lot of trading is just, it's like what I call it's like being on a movie set. It's a hurry up and wait. And so you have to stay focused and you have to pay attention, but you're really spending a lot of time waiting for the perfect entry. Now remember what we talked about on Saturday and Sunday about the moving averages? Now take a look at here. Basically you don't want to fight the moving averages. You do see that the 8 and the 21 period moving average are trying to cross here on the 144 tick chart. So that's kind of a heads up that the markets may be ready to roll over just a little bit. But for right now, nothing really setting up. I would like to see another squeeze set up here on the 144 tick chart. You can see the last one that fired off right here. That was the nice little long pop that we caught. But right now, there's really nothing setting up, so there's really nothing to do. And part of the real key here for trading is that, just because you don't have a position doesn't mean that you get bored and start trading. If you start trading because you're bored and not for a specific reason, you're not going to be doing this for very long. So you got to know when to just stand aside and when to wait, and that's what we're doing right now. Over here we've got the 7 period RSI, and again I don't really look at this as overbought and oversold. I'm looking for bullish and bearish divergences. Right now there's really nothing too exciting happening there. So markets are just kind of quieting down. It's 11:30. It's the doldrums. We'll see if we can set up another trade here before lunch. But otherwise, basically between about 11:45 and 2, we're not going to be initiating any new stock market trades because generally at that time the market is very, very quiet. But we will start looking at bonds and seeing what they're doing. So for bonds, what we want to do is we want to look and see where we are. It's 11:30 right now. So remember, between 11:30 and 12, we want to see mark where we are and see what kind of a range we're going to get. So at 11:30, we're here at 110 and 19/30 seconds. So the idea is over the next half hour, we want to make sure that we're trading in a smaller than 16/30 second range. If we are trading in a smaller range like that, then we'll go ahead and start taking trades at noon. All right. So now the time clock has begun on the bonds. Yeah, boredom trades are the worst, and that's the toughest thing for a trader because as a trader, you'll sit there and say, "All right, I'm a trader. I got to do something. I got to be trading." But you can put this on a sign and put it on your wall. You can remember this as a trader. There's 3 positions as a trader. There's long, there's short, and there's flat. And 60% of the time, if you're just day trading, you should be flat. That's oftentimes the smartest position you can have. If you're not sure, you always err on the side of being conservative. Okay. On the if you're not sure if you should take the trade, then the answer is you shouldn't take the trade. All the trades we've taken this morning have had very clear setups. They've either been a squeeze, they've either been against a pivot level, they've either been a scalper buy or scalper sell. It's been based on an interpretation of the radar screen. It's not like, oh, I'm bored, let's see what happens if we go long. Okay? So the same thing now. If later we start to deteriorate, we'll start looking for reasons to go short, but right now there is no reason to focus on short trades. Do you want to take a snapshot of that one? Yeah.
$6.77 even. $6.70 even to 90.
Okay, Hubert just posted a snapshot here. Oh my God, I dropped my microphone. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, the spoos. I was talking about the spoos. The spoos is a nickname for the S&P. Okay, there's the big contract, which is the S&P contract, which is traded in open eCry, which is only pit traded. So that's the S&P, the biggie, and then the spoos is a nickname for the electronic small S&P. Okay, and then you have the noodles. The noodles is the NASDAQ, and then a lot of people we've been calling the Dow Minis, D Minis or yams. You can do that, either one. But it's just slang terms for traders. It's just nicknames for the actual stuff that you're trading.
You want to talk about the squeeze here real quick?
Oh, on the 5-year treasuries?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see here today. There's been a couple squeezes that's happened on the actual 5-minute chart on 5-year treasuries. All of them have been short. So 10-year note. So on the 10-year note here, you've got a short here, a close of 112.15. And as you can see, I'm going to mark it here with the arrow so you can see it. It's kind of hard to see on bonds sometimes. There, and let me line this up for you guys. There you go. So there's one signal on the squeeze with bonds. Alright. I'm take a quick snapshot for you. Oh, you got it, John?
Yeah, I'm doing this for the archive.
Okay, alright, go ahead.
So basically, you can just see that there. We got on the 10-year note, we got the red dots here, the blue dot. You got a red histogram, so you go short, and basically it's good for a full half-point move there on the 5-minute chart. So let me get rid of this.
Russell just entered a 5-minute squeeze. It is just entering a 5-minute squeeze. The Russell is ER2.
The Russell's also, you can see here, it's been in a long squeeze here for on the 2-minute chart. So I want to see where this fires off. The Russell's just been consolidating. The other thing I like to look at here today too is I always like to see where the different indices are trading on a percent change basis. So you can see that here the Russell's up 1.58%, the NASDAQ 1.45%, the S&P's 0.98%, and the Dow 1%. So if you're going to rank these in terms of strength, the Russell's 1, the NASDAQ's 2nd, the Dow's 3rd, and the S&P is 4th. And so what I like to do is see, like, okay, especially if the Dow and the S&P are ranked like 4 and 1, is that you can sit there and any short trades that you have, you just do it in the weakest index. Any long setups that you have, you just do it in the strongest index. So I always like to see which index is the strongest, which index is the weakest, and in what order. And it's just a good visual to help you out there. Looking at the 5-minute squeeze, this is what Hubert was just talking about. You know, we got nothing happening here on the Dow, nothing happening on the S&P, nothing happening on the NASDAQ, but we do have a red dot here on the Russell. So that's kind of our first heads up that we'll have a play at some point later today. So we want to keep an eye on that for sure. And if we go back to the radar screen and take a look again, nothing's really changed. The trend Q continues to make new lows. Okay, it's very bullish. The trend, even though it's bounced up from 0.42 to 0.50, that's a very minuscule bounce. That's still pretty bullish. This is going to have to, going to have to get back up above about 0.80 before it's going to get bearish. The trend, the put calls holding very steady right around 0.90. Right now it's at 0.8948. That's fine. Ticks have just been quiet. We did make new lows on the ticks, but we've not made new price lows, so that's fine. And things are just kind of quiet right here. I keep looking to see if any sector is going to go red, but so far nothing's going red. I like to look at the key stocks in terms of the single stock futures. These are all the stocks that I watch, the 100 biggest stocks, and see who's moving. You can see Lowe's here is up almost $3. Goldman Sachs up almost $2. Biotech is just ripping today. You got Biogen, Amgen, Genzyme. They're all up almost 3%. So you got biotech as one of the strongest sectors of the day. So just going through and looking and see if there's anything standing out on the upside, and then scrolling down, see if anything's on the downside. The only 3 stocks that are negative today out of this list of 100 stocks is NVIDIA, Halliburton, and Krispy Kreme Donuts, which has been down every day for the past couple of months. All right, and this is the list of stocks that I get from onechicago.com. It's just a list of the key big stocks that are out there, and I like to get an idea of what they're doing. On the internals, we've got 401 million shares up to 55 million down, so that's 8-to-1 to the upside. That's
670.
So you can see here we've got 402 million shares up, and we've got 55 million shares down. That's a ratio of 8, see if I can write this out here, of 8 to 1, okay? So that's 8-to-1 to the upside. That is a super, super bullish ratio. Okay, and it's the same thing here. Up volume on the NASDAQ is 452 million. Down volume is 54 million. You got the same 8-to-1 ratio there. That's super bullish. That's just there's so much pressure to the upside. Mostly you're just going to see 2-to-1 to the upside or 2-to-1 to the downside. But on days when you have significant bullish or bearish pressure, you're going to see 5-to-1, 6-to-1, 8-to-1. 8-to-1 is actually really high. The highest I've ever seen it is 10-to-1, where we had I think it was like 1.5 billion shares up and 150 million shares down or something like that, and that's just insanely bullish.
687 even.
For this tab, I'm just looking at general future markets. I just kind of like to see what other markets are doing around the world. You can see at a glance the Dow here up 94, S&P up 10, NASDAQ up 18, Russell up 8. Then I like to see what the bonds are doing. The bonds are down almost a full point. T-notes getting hit a little bit. Euro dollar's just sitting there down a little. Australian dollar and the British pound, no biggie. The main currency I'm looking at is the euro. I like to see what the euro is doing. This is the Japanese yen, the Swiss franc, just kind of see if there's any extreme moves today. Here's the dollar. Remember, if the dollar is moving up and the euro is moving down. Grains are kind of quiet. Soybeans are down 17 cents. Of course, the big one is crude oil. I like to see what crude oil is doing. Crude oil today is off 43 cents. That should help the stock market a little bit. And crude oil is right here at CL. I like to see what gold's doing. Gold's unchanged on the day, just kind of hanging out. Silver's up a little bit. And I don't really make any trading decisions based on this, but I do just like to get a general idea of what the rest of the markets are doing out there. Okay. Now let's go back to the sectors. One last check. Anybody red? Nope. Nobody's red. Best group of the day are airlines and biotech, and we know that because Amgen and all those stocks, Biogen and Genzyme, they were all up there in the top 3 or 4 stocks of the day. All right, so everything here is bullish. Let's go back to our charts and take a look. Any trades setting up?
670.
Nothing really setting up for a trade. I mean, this is what we call a situation, or it's a good idea to hold on to your wallet.
670.
For the question, now if we do get a 5-minute squeeze during the doldrums, we will definitely take that. But otherwise, we'll pass on new trades. Yeah, Sarah, no problem. Just email us and we can send it to you.
670.
All right, so let's just open this to questions. Do you guys have any questions? That would be service.
670.
Service at tradethemarkets.com.
Yeah, you need to add a B there, yeah.
Let's just open this to questions because we've done a lot of stuff this morning, and now it's just kind of like if you guys, it takes a lot of information. I think the main thing to realize is that even though we covered a ton of information on Saturday and Sunday, hopefully you can see that it all ties together very simply. And it all works and it all flows together. So if you guys have any questions now, just fire it off. The moving averages are 8, 21, 89, EMA on that chart. No, I did not. I just said that we started looking at the bonds at 11:30, and if they do trade in excess of a half point prior to noon, 12 noon, then we're going to pass. But right now, we don't know that until we get to 12 noon. Larry, it's just of all the signals that we watch, the most powerful and the most consistently powerful signal that we've ever seen is the 5-minute squeeze. So I always take those signals. They don't always result in winning trades, but what I found is that if there is going to be a big move in the market, that's going to give us the heads up. So when all of a sudden the Dow is quiet and then it moves 80 points, generally the 5-minute squeeze has fired off and gotten you into that trade. And it also keeps me in a trade longer. Instead of just trying to get 10 points or 20 points, if it's a 5-minute squeeze, I'll just stay in until the squeeze is done. So I'll have a day where it's like, I got 10 points here, I got 10 points here, and then there's like plus 80. Okay, that 80-point trade is because of a 5-minute squeeze.
660 to 80.
What else? You guys got any questions on anything that we've done so far today, or is there anything on the radar screen that you have questions on, or the squeezes, or the charts we're looking at right now?
70 to 20.
Or why we're flat and why we're not taking any trades right now?
70 to 30.
Okay. Okay. That sounds good. How do you want to do it? Do you want to do it here right now? All right. Yeah, because if you want to do it, then I'll start looking at the bonds and see what's sitting up there.
Okay. 70 to 30.
Yeah, J-Mac, the important thing is that, on stuff like this is, you're going to get creamed with all this information. But then, you just kind of let it sink in. And, of course, you guys can stay in the room and watch us trading, and you'll see why we're trading, and so it can kind of reinforce the stuff that you learned at the seminar. Also, remember, when you get the archive version of the seminar, we're recording all this.
70 to 30.
So you'll be able to go back and listen to us talk about the stuff in the seminar. and we're recording what we're doing today. And all the charts that we're looking at, like the chart that you're looking at right now, that's being recorded. So you'll be able to go back and kind of review all this stuff so you can compare it with your notes that you made during the seminar. That's the scalper buys and sells, Euro John.
7 first boss below 7 at 30. Locals at 30. 7 at 30.
So when we get sell signals like in the stochastic and the RSI and the MACD, you get the red dots, and you get buy signals, you get blue dots.
Seven at 30. Seven at 30.
Actually, if you want to start, when you start your pit noise stuff, I'll go run out and pick up some sandwiches.
Where you going, man?
Yeah. Right, Euro John. And in fact, we just got a scalper buy. Now I'm going to pass, okay, following my trading rules. It's past 11:30, and I don't take any new stock trades after 11:30 unless it's a 5-minute squeeze or if it's a quiet neutral day, a tick extreme. All right, so we just got a scalper buy, and I'm not taking it. That's a great example of when not to take a signal because it's the doldrums. Hey, who else is? Justin, on the TTM market trend, that's just all the TTM market trend does is that makes the bars red and blue. It's the scalper buys and sells. That's what gets it going for the dots. You just have to make sure that, did you load the show me and the pivot and the paint bars? You have to load those in too. You'll see TTM confirmation, TTM like scalper buy or something like that. Yeah, just make sure you got all those in there too. And then once it's in, you want to make sure you got the inputs updated. You go to input and make sure that the plot displacement is like 1.5, and then just make sure that the buys are whatever color you want, like blue or green, and then the sells are red. All right, I'm going to start a new video here. Okay, I'm going to pause this recording, and then we'll start it back up again, and Hubert's going to go over pit noise, and then we're going to also look at bond trades.